city, you'll find the small town of Midlothian, Illinois. Grab a shovel, because we're digging up some sinister secrets at one of the nation's most blood-curdling boneyards, Bachelor's Grove Cemetery.
People get the hair that stands up on the back of their neck and on their arms, goosebumps all over the place.
I've been touched, I've been tripped, I've been bitten, I've been clawed.
At first glance, Bachelor's Grove Cemetery looks like a quiet country graveyard. A lovely little place to rest in peace. So what makes it scarier than your average cemetery? Years of violence and neglect have transformed this hallowed ground into a haunted playground.
It's an isolated cemetery in the middle of a forest preserve, and that in itself can be pretty terrifying to some people. Now you add to that the fact that there are things that happen here that don't normally happen in your everyday world.
Opened in 1833, Bachelor's Grove was well maintained for decades, but the surrounding neighborhood became a hotbed of violence.
Just behind us is the Midlothian Turnpike, where Al Capone would shoot people and then dump them into the pond directly behind us. People have been killed almost on the premises of Bachelor's Grove Cemetery.
In the early 1970s, the cemetery was abandoned, and the once sacred ground became a party spot for local kids.
They would literally topple the gravestones over. In some cases, they would actually dig up coffins out of the ground and open them up and desecrate the graves.
There's probably hundreds of graves here, and there's probably less than 10 actual markers still in their proper locations.
Many believe vandalism is what woke the dead of Bachelor's Grove.
Maybe the spirits are restless because they feel like they're being disrespected, that they're not being left in peace, and maybe they're active to warn people, to scare people out.
Is working. Take the disturbing case of the wandering farmer. You see, in the early days of Bachelor's Grove, a local farmer was hired to maintain the land.
As he was plowing the field that he was working on, his horse started to get caught into that pond. He was dragged down further and further towards it, got caught up in the rains, and ended up dying. His ghost is seen on a regular basis.
We had spent a rather uneventful day here, but just at twilight, we were just about to leave the cemetery, and we heard branches breaking along the back edge of the fence. We never saw anything. When I got home, that's when the hair really stood up on my neck, because as I was looking at the pictures, there was one picture of this luminous horse and rider along that back edge of the fence.
But the phantom farmer isn't the only disrespected spirit that won't stay put in Bachelor's Grove.
One of the most unusual sightings here in the cemetery is of a woman in a white gown of some kind.
The lady in white has been seen here throughout the years. I think the single fact about her, though, that makes her such an interesting ghost is that she looks nearly as real as you or I do, only you can see through her.
Perhaps the most convincing evidence of the White Lady surfaced in 1991. Chicago native Judy Fells was on a haunted tour of Bachelor's Grove when she snapped what she thought was an innocent photo.
The first time I had gone through my stack of photos, it didn't see anything out of the normal. It just looked like the cemetery. The second time I went through, I happened to see in the corner of the picture this lady sitting on the headstone, and I almost jumped through the ceiling.
The image does show a woman in white with long blonde hair, sitting in profile, semi-transparent, on the tombstone.
All I know is that it's not me, myself, or my mother, that there was no one else here at the time. When it was taken, there was no other females here.
Because of the incredible visual detail of that particular photo, it has been seen in the Chicago Sun-Times and throughout the world on internet websites, and is, in my opinion, probably the best existence of life after death.
And compelling proof that this is no ordinary burial ground.
The grave desecration, the bodies dumped in the lagoon. If you put all that together, that's one of the reasons that I believe that cemetery is producing phenomena and will continue to produce phenomena for many years to come.